Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We've got this property for $8 million. That's the value of it all, of course, but we are going to run an auction today and you have no idea how to do the auction. But anyway, you've just given me your highest bid at $9 million. Gone for the first, second, and third time and sold to you. Welcome to your new home, ladies and gentlemen. This is how do property auctions work. Let's go. So how do property auctions work? The most important thing you got to ask is why do property auctions even exist in the first place, right? It exists because it offers the easiest sell process, right? Not you the buyer, but yes, you the vendor. And most importantly, it probably makes the agent's job the easiest, the selling agent's job the easiest, because there is no condition attached to this contract, which means, people that have the money will just come in and buy straight away. And if they don't have the money, they can sue them so that they will pay up the money at the very end. It's the most straightforward sale, no conditions attached, no finance costs, but that does not mean you as a buyer need to have all the money that you're going to buy the house with all in cash. You can just have a pre-approval from the bank and that is good enough. So that's why vendors and agents who represent the vendors are happier to do an auction if it is going to be successful. It also means that there will be no physical building inspections that will be allowed on the property after the settlement of the home, and that cannot become a condition to the property. You can still run the physical building inspection, but the thing is, it's not going to have any impact on the price or the actual contractual terms of the purchase of your home or the commercial property that you'll be going for. But good sellers will actually offer a building inspection. Now, take that with a pinch of salt. Take that with a grain of salt. I don't know the expression. Take that with a pinch of salt because it's the other side that's actually prepared the actual inspection. So of course it's going to say nice things about the property, right? So some vendors won't even bother with it, right? But some vendors might actually provide something and you as a buyer can read through that and see how truthful it is and understand some of the risk. Of course, there's no such thing as a perfect property with absolutely no problems, but it's a good starting point for you to understand if there's anything that you should probably know before you buy the property. But overall, it's very much a buyer beware situation and you just basically go in, take a risk, just bid. It's not as scary as it looks. So let's keep digging into how property auctions work. So in an auction, you've got a buyer and then you've got a seller, right? And you've got an auctioneer who represents actually the seller. So the auctioneer, their job is to get the highest possible price for the property on the day. So then let's actually start from this point. What happens if there is no bid on the day? Well, it's actually not as bad as you think. It just means that the property will just be held over. That's the word that we use in Australia. United States people, you could use something different. But I'm guessing the concept will be pretty much the same anyway. Where the property is held over, it's just going to become a normal property sale. And that usually is called private treaty sale, where two private members come together and just shake their hands on a particular price and then boom, the property is transacted. Well, some of the worries that the sellers of the property might have will be then, well, do I have to sell at the highest bid? And what if the highest bid is much, much lower than what I want for the property? Well, there's what's called a reserve. So what is that scenario? Well, let me give you a little example. Let's say the property is worth $500,000, but the highest bid on the day was $400,000. Me being the seller of the property says, I don't want to sell it at $400,000, but that is the highest bid. Well, I could say, you know what? I don't want to sell it because my reserve is $500,000, which means that I want to receive at least $500,000 for the property. But that's the thing about auctions is that when the vendor sets a reserve, if the highest bid from the day isn't higher than that reserve, well, guess what? There is no sale. And so vendors, your assets are protected and you still have full control over the property no matter what method of transaction you choose, whether it's private surety or even auction in this case. Most importantly in an auction is that none of you should be emotional and just make a level-head judgment and understand how the process actually works really well, which is why it's a fantastic thing that you are here, because you can then smash the like button, make sure you go subscribe so you can stay updated with all the processes so that you can become a much more informed investor in property. But the reserve price can actually change on the day. What does that mean? Well, the reserve price usually is quite set high because let's be honest, sellers, they want as much money for the property as they possibly can. So what does that mean? Let's say I set a price for my property, which is worth $500,000. I set a reserve at $600,000. That's not the best strategy. Let's say this particular seller was particularly greedy and that's what he did. Well, on the day, the highest bid was $520,000. Hey, that's a deal. It was worth $500,000. It's 20 grand above. Well, why wouldn't the owner want to sell? In that situation, what the selling agent is going to do and what the auctioneer is probably going to do as well, along with the selling agent, is that they're going to convince the seller to actually reduce their reserve price. By reducing the reserve price to $520,000, which was, remember, the highest bid. Once that is adjusted, then the auctioneer will come out of the back room, if you like, to basically say that property is on the market, and then boom, the property will be sold to the highest bidder. At that point, there can be further higher bids that could be entertained. So be careful if you're going to play that strategy. But yes, reserve prices can change and usually falls on the day of the auction. All right, well, let's talk about the actual bidding day. Auctioneers love to do this opening bid or offer. They would want a particular starting bid and they'll want it nice and high. Let's say their target is $700,000. They would want at least the opening bid to be between $500,000 to $550,000 so that it can get started. But the opening bid you have the full control. You can bid as low as you like. Who gives a crap? Say whatever value you want to say. I have heard as ridiculous of a bid as low as $10,000 for a property that was clearly worth at least $500,000. Obviously, it's not going to be sold to you because people aren't stupid. But hey, it's worth a try anyway. Second thing is bidding increments, okay? So auctioneers would want the bids to go up in certain sizes. So let's say the bid's at $500,000 and the auctioneer wants $20,000 jumps from there. So they will say at $500,000, come for $20,000 increments. Ladies and gentlemen, where do we have for the next bid? And all the bidders will do is they'll stick their hand up, indicating that they are happy with that increment. But don't be that guy. Have control over the bidding process. As a buyer, you can just say whatever bid increments you want. They want $20,000, but you bidded another extra $10,000. What are they going to do? Not take it? Are they stupid? It's more money, right? Another thing that people like to do, and I've seen this done with Chinese people, especially in the eastern seaboard of Australia. And what they do is they bid in really, really odd numbers. Yeah, to us it sounds odd, but to them it's a really significant number. It could be 666, which is a lucky number, 777 or 888. And these odd numbers can really throw off the auctioneer, really reducing the momentum of the auction for the day, which is a pretty good strategy on the buyer side. Some conditional and contractual aspect of auction is that on the day of the bidding, if you win, yes, you do have to pay the deposit on the day. And what would happen if you're a bidder and you run away from the auction after you bid the highest amount? Well, guess what? They'll probably track you down. Before you actually go to bid, you actually have to give out some of your details to the actual auctioneer. It usually includes your license or ID documents so that they know who you are and where you live. They know where you live. I will find you and I will get paid for this property. What's the reference for? And law on property is quite specific on how they deal with these remedies, is that they will make you actually transact on the property. They're not going to seek any monetary damages of alternative kinds. They are going to actually get you to buy the property. If you can't afford the property, well, then they'll probably make you sell something so that you can buy the property. And let's say you can't settle by the settlement date, the closing date, well, guess what? They're going to apply a penalty rate, which is around 5% higher in annualized bank rate that's offered at the time, which is on standard property sale and auction contracts found across the world. So there you have it, guys. I think that covers some aspects of how property auctions work. And I hope that it's given you some clarity as you enter into the next property auctions. I know the market is crazy right now, but you know what? It's better to understand how the process works than go into any situation blind, because if you do that, well, guess what? You're going to miss out. You're going to miss out and you're going to make some mistakes, and these mistakes can be very, very costly, because guess what? These properties, they ain't cheap. And I know you put your life savings into buying your dream home, dream property anyway. So don't be the emotional idiot, whether you're a seller or you're a buyer, and make sure you understand the process left, right, etc. And if you need help bidding at auctions, well, guess what? I'm a pretty darn bidder. So I can get you the best prices. I can represent you. I can help you across the process. And if you need that help, make sure you get through the social channels. Give me a call and I'll be more than happy to help you anywhere across Australia. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into my video. These are my socials. Make sure you go follow my pipes. As well as that, make sure you go like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can stay updated with investment, property, crypto, all this kind of exciting stuff that makes you money across this channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is HTK. Peace out.